If I die tomorrow, I hope you hear these words. I ain't here to flip no birds or sip no serve. Hope the future generations can get this urge. Stay woke, youngin', and avenge these nerds.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Plug. This is your boy Sebastian, and I'm here with Zach Howard, co-creator of an awesome comic that you guys are going to want to get in on this, and definitely support the Kickstarter and support anything that Zach is doing. We got Moonshine Bigfoot.
Yes. Yes.
So Zach, welcome to the show. Tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about you. Give us the 411 and pretty much give us your Spider-Man origin. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just, I've been drawing comic books for about 23 years now, bouncing around a couple other media, but mostly comic books. Broke in on the Hellboy resource manual for GURPS. And I apologize to all your fans if I have to sniff. Getting over a con cold. I thought I got through all the con season or early con season without it, but they got me right at the very
Con
last.
crud. It's real.
So apologies for the sniffing here and probably dopey cold medicine look on my face. But anyways, to digress, I couldn't get into comics right away, so I was working for a company called Steve Jackson Games doing gaming manuals.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they ended up getting, when Hellboy was first starting to get pretty popular, they got the rights to do an RPG game, and Mignola chose me and another guy named Peter Bergting to basically illustrate the whole thing, and I got to do a Hellboy comic, and that eventually led to a couple image series that I did, and then I was doing detective comics. Kind of got disillusioned and left DC Comics. Wasn't really happy in all the Bat books, and to each their own. It just wasn't for me how they make comic books there. Was told my career was over, and then the next book I do was with Chris Ryle, a book called Shaun of the Dead, which you may have heard of, a little movie about that. And I didn't do the movie, guys. I just did the book. Brilliant movie. And that just kind of, my career got a little bit easier after that. I did the Aliens 30th anniversary for Dark Horse, an IP comedy book Sean Murphy and I did for Dark Horse. I did some Marvel books, Hulk, Spider-Man, and some Thor side characters. And then I did another indie book called The Cape with Joe Hill, who's the creator of Lock and Key, Stephen King's son. That exploded. We did very well with that. Pretty dark story for those who haven't read it, but you won't see anything like it out there. It's really heavy-handed and brilliant Joe Hill work. And then I did my own series, Wildly Yonder, which was probably my biggest success personally.
Yeah, you got a reward for that one.
Oh, we got well, Nelson Daniel, I think, got the Eisner nod for best colorist, but for that one, I didn't get an Eisner. I got Amazon Book of the Month, and we did win some indie award, and I apologize whoever gave it to us because I can't remember what it was. That being said, that was optioned by Intel for animating on some new AR technology they had. It was a really fun project. Worked with Gerard Butler and Ed Harris and all the people that did the VO on it. But that technology took a dump as VR got really good, and it just rocket ship past it. So that whole project, it was nice. We got paid, and then we ended up releasing it through Apple, and it was pretty fun. And then just more indie stuff. Every once in a while, you'll see me on a cover like Venom or something like that. It's fun to bounce around and occasionally dip my toes back in superheroes, but it's mostly creator-owned stuff now, and I'm trying to start my own studio, and this is basically the debut book for it, and we're trying to stay independent, so I don't have to draw Aquaman annuals or some crap like that, and
the swimsuit specials and everything, the covers.
Yes, everything, I'd have to go back to drawing Prince of Power for Marvel, or one of those wonderful, wonderful titles that everybody remembers their favorite Prince of Power story, right? They have it close to their heart. Yeah, it just led me to this. I've done everything, guys. If you can think of it, I've really, I did a popular TMNT thing where dark Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they get turned by Shredder. That got me a lot of juice. So most of my commissions nowadays are just Hellboy. Oh, I forgot I did Hellboy. Uh, 17 and a half years later, I was really sad because Hellboy didn't choose me. He chose Peter Bergting to go work on stuff. So I let that kind of ember burn for 17 and a half years. But then I came back and I showed everybody who's up. I was really proud of my Hellboy. And that was just collected. It's the latest Hellboy trade. Effie Kolb, the return of Effie Kolb, rather, and other stories or something like that. It's pretty cool. It's myself, Mignola, Adam Hughes, Dave Stewart, all those chumps.
Right, I'm just geeking out because these are names that you're dropping, and some of these names I'm like, oh wait, I know. I was like, because I remember just running around as a fan, just collecting that stuff. So I'm pretty sure I saw a lot of your works also too with aliens because I am a big collector of all the aliens omnibus that Dark
Oh
Horse
yeah,
had done. I have like all of them in like a bookshelf over there. So I'm like, I've definitely seen your work through aliens. And just the titles that you've worked on. So if you've dropped Hellboy, you've dropped Venom. Um, and by means you dropped off Image, you've dropped Dark Horse. Dark Horse I feel like was one of my favorite companies going up. So I've
oh
been
my
always a
gosh,
big Marvel fan. I was okay with DC, but like you said, DC I felt was more like Batman. Wasn't like
yeah,
Universal was like Batman and everyone exists around him, like everyone was a supporting cast member.
yeah. It's Jupiter with all the moons satelliting around it, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not big into the factory setting of kind of like
yeah,
the hyper commercial art scene. Not disparaging it at all. It's just I realized within 6 months, 8 months, this is not for me, man.
no,
Um,
it's a
I, I want to be a storyteller, and I mean, it's kitschy for comic book artists to say that, but it's a huge passion of mine. I work very hard on it, and if you do have a passion for quality storytelling, things like that, it can be really difficult to fit within the commercial art industry, which comic books unfortunately are. It's
yeah.
just the reality of it. You have to make money selling them, and you're protecting these brands, you know, Wolverine and Superman and all these things like that that kids wear underwear with those characters on it. So you can't really do too much with them other than make them look cool. Where I'd rather and I have done Star Wars, but instead of drawing Star Wars, I'd rather create the next Star Wars. So, and and that's kind of, it took me 23 years to really, though I've done my own creator-owned books, this is my first one where I'm taking the lead in the whole venture and really, uh, I don't know, taking a chance on ourselves without any true backing, you know.
Well,
Uh,
well, I mean, you got the fans, you've developed it, you've worked in the industry, but like you said, now you're dipping, and I think that's one of the major things a lot of people want to go out there create. Now you're dipping your hand, you're creating your own series. This is your baby, this is your story. So, what led to the creation of Moonshine Bigfoot? What happened? Please
Well,
tell us. Give us
a
that
little
411.
delirium, as you can quite imagine. So, the guy that's writing this, he's new to comic books, but he's an actor and screenwriter, buddy of mine. I used to have a CBD company, and we were at a convention in Vegas. Had to do a late night drive back through the mountains, to Denver one night. And so, like hour 10 or whatever, like that, just to keep each other awake, we're bitching about how Hollywood is, they're just cowardly, just remake the same thing and they don't do anything with it. They're just kind of like when they remake the Dukes of Hazzard, it's just like, hey, this is the Dukes of Hazzard, but now with a little edgier, and they get different actors and they have cell phones, and it's just like they forget the heart and soul of what made these shows and art and pop culture great. So after X amount of bitching, I threw the idea out there. Well, if you're going to remake, Dukes of Hazzard 14, why don't you just have Bigfoot drive the damn thing? Make it interesting. And then next thing you know, we came up with the story Moonshine Bigfoot, and it took about 6 months, but it wouldn't go away. And it's just one of those things we just kept going back to, and it just got richer and richer, and we kind of built a world around them. And It's a lot of fun because we got this silly, ridiculous world, and he's kind of like the Scully in X-Files in it. He doesn't really believe any conspiracies or anything anybody says. He's pretty, I don't know, man. I'm just a simple Bigfoot. So just so people know what it is, we did create a universe around this. We're really excited about it, because I think actual comedies, there's a hole, a void in the industry. When was the last time you read a funny comic book?
Yeah.
Like actually funny comic book? And excuse me again for my sniffing.
Oh, you're good.
And that's something we want to do. I'm really known for dark, intense stories and fun stuff that I'm super proud of, and adventurous stuff like Wild Blue Yonder that does have some comedy relief in it. You have to, otherwise, you just kind of suffocated with a serious story, which unfortunately I think a lot of books are going towards right now. They're just so heavy-handed, which there's a place for that, but I miss just laughing, and really laughing, not at the same three Deadpool jokes, Jimmy Chonga and throw half his body over a ravine type humor, which is fine, but it's just the same. They're just retreading tires or their shtick. Where this, we tried to build a funny universe with endearing characters that people can go on a silly adventure with and just kind of disconnect from it. And that's kind of what this has become. I don't know, man, I'm very proud of it. And it's done well. We funded right away. I think it was 11 hours.
Oh, nice.
We were number 3 in the world on kick tracks or whatever the hell they keep records for that. My management company was pretty excited. But if people help us out, what we're trying to do is just stay completely independent. And it's really hard to do that in comic books while making very high-end comic books too, which I think our crew is capable of. We have Steve Ellis, he's done this longer than me, like 32 years. He's famous for Lobo and Magic the Gathering. He has some of the most famous Magic the Gathering cards ever painted. And then Nelson Daniel, who has, I don't know, like 4 or 5 Eisners, I don't know, who colored that Iron Giant behind me. We've been working together for 13 years. Anybody who's seen my books outside of Hellboy has seen Nelson. And we just got a savage team, and we're bringing 100% to it. I don't know. I hope people take a chance on us. We made a Kickstarter that's really fun. Like people get to be a bartender in it that has a speaking role for the speakeasy. That went right away. You can be bar patrons, like just in the background during, these scenes with Moonshine Bigfoot and Uncle Pineapple and just all sorts of stuff. Sketch covers, stickers, T-shirts. The cheapest way, those that I know my original art can get expensive. This is the cheapest way you can ever get it. You can get an original page of pencils, original page of inks for $200, and you get to choose from the pages which one you want. And we got 100 of them. So we try to make this as fun as possible. We have a lot of fun tiers for people. And the coolest thing I do want to say, and I will get in back to what the story is, but I really want to hammer home. We really want people to understand. We understand you're taking a chance on us. We want you to feel rewarded for backing us because it is taking a chance. You don't know if we're just making a nuclear pile of crap. We're not, but you never know that. So what we're doing is all of our stretch goals are free comic books. And we passed 4 right now. So you get 13 free comic books at any level of backing. And some of them are actually pretty cool, like my most famous sketchbook that's just recently gone out of print. You get that for free. You get High Moon, the old DC book that's out of print from Steve Ellis, the entire volume. You get Temple Smith's, what is it called? Groom Lake that he did. So you get a Temple Smith book. You get a Nelson Daniel book that he did with Ashley Wood called String Divers. You get the my studio mate, Clara Meath, who's really popular on IG, her first 4 sketchbooks. She does annual sketchbooks that outsell me, which is ridiculous because she's used to be my assistant. But they're out of print. You get that free. They're all PDFs, but basically, if any level of backing, you get 13 free comic books, both stories, kaiju stories, sketchbooks, werewolf story, Old West werewolf story by Steve Ellis, It's pretty cool, man. An Ashley Wood book. It's pretty cool. So we're trying to show that we appreciate this. We pulled all of our resources and IPs, and we're excited. So
that's a lot of stuff for a Kickstarter, and everybody who's watching this. I mean, again, go ahead and support that Kickstarter. I mean, that's the first time that on this show we've had where you're going to get 13 comics, regardless of what level that you
any
subscribe
level,
to. These
any
are some
backing,
big.
any backing. Yeah, we even have a thing called gas money. You can give us any amount. And some clever people came in and gave $1, but that we don't care. You're still giving us $1. You can have the damn books. But we have cool things now. I'm really happy with the keychains. They're already selling. We have beer coasters, Moonshine Bigfoot beer coasters that are selling better than I could have possibly imagined. T-shirts. We got a lot of fun stuff. Sketch covers, weird covers. You can buy covers. I hope, at the very least, I hope people watch that trailer because the animated trailer, we worked very, very hard on it, and it has like a fake Waylon Jennings doing the narration for it, just like the old Dukes of Hazzard. And this is something I do want. I'm sorry, I'm jabbering.
No, it's all good. Just go ahead. Like I said,
and everybody watching, my nose does itch. My whole face itches because I've been blowing my nose for the last 4 days. So I apologize. I know it's very annoying. I'm trying to do my best here. Hopped up on cold medicine here, Dayquil. But one of the things that we thought was very important for Moonshine Bigfoot is it's kind of a loving satire, or the way I've been putting it, a loving satire of 1980 Americana. So things like the Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider, G-Force, all those things that just were all just crackling, they're like coming to America. The thing that I think the vein, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's an innocence to it. And even though you had when I was a kid, I didn't know how terrible the Dixie flag was and all the garbage it represented and how horrible General Lee was in reality to what he did, whether he was a good general or not. There's just a lot of social pollution that goes with that and historical pollution that goes with that. But when you're a kid, you didn't know any of that. You just got to enjoy two hillbillies outwitting the dumbest cops ever. And that was a lot of fun. And we're trying to harken back to when things were a little more innocent. It doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, social advances we make are paramount. We have to work towards that. But I don't think we should also forget the fun we had when things weren't as heavy, shall we say. You could just be a dorky kid and enjoy Michael Knight on a mission, with his new face, and you didn't Fantasy Island, all these doofy things that
love for the 80s, because in the 80s a lot of that stuff was love, as growing up as a kid for the 80s, again, everything you're saying, Knight Rider, the Dukes of Hazzard, they were all fun to watch. A-Team and everything. And that's from what I've seen from the artwork, and you bring up with I'll bring them up again, Bigfoot. It looks like you're big, from the description you gave me, what I've read, it looks like it's just a love letter to all that stuff that was 80s.
It is, without the pollution. It kind of has that Gru tone where you get to just follow these bumbling idiots having fun and or adventure, but they become endearing to you, so they matter a little bit, which is always important to me as a storyteller. You can't just have real humor will come from people you care about a lot more. You're paying more attention. You have more on the line as far as how you feel about them. So we're trying to capture that. And like you said, it's not just 80s. There's like a period between 75 and 85 where all the shows were just fun. And again, we're not trying to rewrite the wheel. We're more, again, as you said, this is kind of an homage, but it's more inspired from it than just an homage. We want to make a silly, fun world. Whether it's, we have an escaped Chuck E. Cheese animatronics doll that has been repurposed as Ronald Reagan. And now you have a Chuck E. Cheese doll that's the most powerful man in the world, that instead of giving UN speeches, he sings about pizza deals, and nobody in our world, nobody cares. They just sitting there, well done, Mr. President.
This is why a lot of us love indie comics, because the ideas that come out with indie comics, again, I love the facts. President Chucky, that's what we'll call him. President Chucky.
Mr. Cheese.
Mr. Cheese. I love it. It's these fun ideas. Like, again, we get to hear a lot of people with their stuff and all, and like you said, for a long time you worked in the commercial industry. Now it's like you're now getting work in this indie industry, so you're getting that freedom now to tell the story you want to tell. These are characters you want to go out there and make, and these are just worlds that you want to go out there and create to transport people. And it just seeing what you guys and putting together the team. So how did you guys all come together? How did Voltron form to be the team?
Well said, because we have a monster in there that's kind of an homage to the old Voltron ridiculous monsters that used to he'd have to cut in half. So though we're not using that trope, we're kind of being inspired by the ridiculousness of using all your resources to create a monster to fight something, instead of taking your resources and going and fighting that monster in a way that maybe would be more efficient. Anyhow, how it came together. I told you how the writer and I initially came up with it. Well, after that convention, I was a guest at AfricaCon here last year. And there's a group of 9 artists, I believe, 7 or 9, I forget. We traveled around for like 2 weeks and went to the Kruger, and which is the nature preserve. Unbelievable. It was the trip of a lifetime. The con was big and grinding.
Fantastic.
But it was good. But you kind of became close with all the artists. We're all traveling together. And one was Steve Ellis, and we just hit it off because there's only a few comic book artists in the group. There's a lot of painters, and one animator. Excuse me. So Steve, though he's kind of hybrid, he paints, and used to illustrate comics a lot, and still does. He had been doing some young adult stuff and wanted to get back into regular comics. So of course he was asking me all this stuff, and I was telling him about this idea that I'm working on, and he wanted in. And normally I draw my own books. I have inked in the past, back on Justice League and stuff. I think I inked Carlo Barbary in a few books, and it's a lot of fun inking other people. But I hadn't done it in forever. I'm known as just illustrating my own crap like this. But he has a certain thing. He's more of a cartoonist, where I'm really heavy-handed and structured and detailed and staging. So I thought, I took a chance. I was like, let's see what the chemistry does, because we got this really exciting cartoonist that just draws crazy, wacky stuff. And then I come and bring my heavy-handed, hyper-rendering, inking, illustrative style over it, and it creates this. It's like this weird 3D cartoon that we're creating. Like it's really detailed, but it's still a cartoon. So I think we got something kind of magical happening between us. It's a unique style. It's not either of us, and that's the magic of. That's the joy I get from the creation process. It's like being in a band. If you're in this band, it's going to be different than the next band because it's different creatives. But when you kind of harmonize with that artist, you get Led Zeppelin. You can't do that by yourself. It takes a whole team of badasses harmonizing together. And I think that's what we have on this project. It's something really unique. Here's ABFAC, American Bigfoot Aliens and Cryptid Hunters. So here's our resident idiots that all have witnessed Bigfoot at one point in time, and now they're obsessed with getting Bigfoot. And by the way, I'm smitten with the patch I made. I should have been a patch designer, man. Damn it, Sebastian, I made the wrong choice in life. But Bigfoot screws around with them, like he hires the local kid to put on Bigfoot feet. And he pays them in Slim Jims, and he just walks around the forest eating Slim Jims. So these idiots are, he does a lot of things like that just to have fun. As far as the story goes, we start off with an ode to Superman. So we got baby Bigfoot. the forest is burning down in the upper Northwest United States. Bigfoot parents, just in time, lovingly wrapped in a blanket, put baby Bigfoot in the back of a logging truck, which gets out of the forest. He makes it all the way to the Georgia-Alabama border. Alabama, did I say?
It's all good.
I'm becoming Southern, Sebastian. Now I'm gonna.
They have a list of names. If Pong is watching, yes, they have what's called a list
Alabama
of
works
massive.
then.
It's gonna go on the list.
There we go.
I,
Alabama.
I'm
So
known for butchering names. I'm butchering states. I butcher it all. I could eat and it started when we were doing Game of Thrones coverage. I
yeah,
can't say any of the names for the life of me, so it's just been a long list.
I get that. That's a tough one, but Alabama it is. The Alabama border. So Georgia, Alabama, kind of same place as where the good old boys lived, and he hits a bump in the truck and falls out by this loving moonshine couple. Oh, you back? There
Yeah,
you
I'm here.
go.
There we go. No, I'm here.
Good. So this couple raises them as their own kid. You know, it's the backwoods rural Georgia or whatever. So the bumpkins, you know, in this community just accept him as their hairy kid. And he just grows up a good old boy and got into hot rodding. He now runs the family moonshine business, which Uncle Pineapple is our disgraced former child show star that runs the black market and has a speakeasy and blah, blah, blah. We got a lot of fun characters. Anyhow, Bigfoot has a girlfriend who's a hippie named Amethyst, who actually she makes a living by selling pictures of her feet in the back of catalogs because they didn't have OnlyFans back then, so we had to come up with something semi-tasteful. So, but she blesses them. She's a hippie. She's blessing like sweaty socks in the moonlight and stuff like that, the full moon. Well, her magic mushrooms, her psilocybin mushrooms, fall out onto the still. There's Uncle Pineapple. And his British bird that runs the black market. He's too drunk to talk. So he's quickly become our favorite character in the story.
I love it.
But so Amethyst dropped all the mushrooms on the family still. Well, all those mushrooms grow and they're now infused with the moonshine, unbeknownst to Bigfoot that's making the moonshine. Well, the moonshine becomes like this secret formula that basically gives you the best way I can describe it is remember the movie They Live by John Carpenter, where they put on the glasses and you can see through propaganda.
Roddy Piper and Keith David.
There you go. Well, like 15-minute fight right there between like one of the craziest fight scenes ever. But
and greatest one-liner ever. Like I came into kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
And that one of the greats. And so in all, for association, that's the best way to describe it. Is you can see through propaganda, and somehow a senator drinks a drink of this and goes on a wild tangent live on TV about conspiracy, all this stuff like that, saying nutty truth. And that's how the Illuminati get involved, our version of the Illuminati. It's called Big Level. And so they start coming after Bigfoot. And of course, they're just a ridiculous organization that has too much money, time, resources, been controlling history forever, but they have kind of the heir apparent is not quite up to the job, and he's very insecure. So we have a ton of fun. We bring in homages. Remember the stupid cartoon Mask? If you remember. So his craft is a mask craft. So we're just trying to get little Easter eggs to everybody, again, to that really simple, high concept, fun, kind of fun, stupid era of pop culture. We had the first wave of anime with G-Force and Speed Racer. Hell, the first cover of the book is Moonshine Bigfoot doing the famous Speed Racer pose at the end when he comes out of the car and does that stupid, awkward thing. What are you doing, Speed Racer? Presenting to me? What's up, man? And
Just fucking time. That's it. Oh
can
god, I
you
remember
imagine
those
if you
pro days.
just someone came up to you and just introduced like this to
This is
you?
Speed Racer. That's it. No, it. I remember all those old animes. So I know this. Everybody was stuck in a pose. That's it. It's
Yes,
like
it just stopped.
I
So
had. Yeah, go ahead.
no. So that's it, man. The Illuminati comes after him. The Bigfoot hunters are after him. He has a rival moonshiner that comes after him. He's always strapping like rockets onto his car, trying to get past them. And so we have a little Looney Tunes in there, Wile E. Coyote stuff. Uh, and all the while, I think we got an endearing story with a really fun character that man, if people just take a chance on it, I promise I'm going to make you laugh and remember this book, man.
Well, I mean,
So,
just by what you were delivering today, and like I said, just to have fun with it. Um, the character designs are awesome. I love the character designs. We're showing
thanks.
Bigfoot throughout the show. We showed the Bigfoot hunters. We showed Uncle Pineapple. I love the name Uncle Pineapple. I'm loving it. Um, the story that you laid out, and just the homages that you said pays tribute to a lot of stuff that we got to see in the late 70s, the 80s,
Yeah.
and possibly the early 90s. It's all there. Um, and,
The
and,
time
and
when you just didn't care as much, you just wanted to laugh, or you just wanted to see what this idiot was going to do, and there wasn't all this other geopolitical weight on everything. You know what I mean? And we're trying to do that.
well,
Uh,
yeah, it seems like you're just trying to deliver a book out there that's it, and again, it's a great way to get away from all the big major commercial stuff because, and I go, that's why I love the indies. I mean, we see a lot of great projects, a lot of great ideas that come through, and this is probably one of my favorite ideas that I see there. And again, coming from someone who's been in the industry for 23 years, different things, and it just tells you. So, what advice? Because I also run your bio, you try to give as much advice as you can to young creators who are trying to break into the industry. For anybody who's watching this right now, who's listening into, what advice can you give them as a creator who has been in this industry for 23 years, who's now also getting into independence?
uh, well, yeah, it's a big passion of mine. I got into this industry. It was pretty lonely. I didn't have much help, and it was some really crappy, lonely years of grinding and not knowing if I was completely insane. So I always told myself if I ever get comfortable in this industry, not that anybody is ever comfortable in this industry, but if I get to a point where I don't have to worry about more work, at least, I'm going to try and pay it forward because I don't want somebody ever feel like I did, sleeping on hotel floors and having $6 for an entire weekend and trying desperately to get an attention of an editor and, all the fun stuff that goes with that. Um, it can suck. And a lot of people just quit when they're so damn close and they just need that little gust of wind. Like, it's going to be okay, man. So, my advice to creators that are going indie is what you're asking or
Yeah,
thinking
going
about going indie?
into the commercial industry and indie. Give us a little bit of both.
Well, there is not as much nowadays, but I would say about 10, 15 years ago, there's a lot of trepidation to do that because there's every time somebody gets Wolverine or something, that person beat like 1,000 people out on that job. It's a tough job to get,
Yeah.
man. These high top tier books, they don't take chances on many people. They only take chances on people they know they're going to make money on, or at least pretty certain, and also that can deliver it. It's hard to leave the sanctity of that sometimes because not everybody gets health insurance, but they'll be under contract and you're actually making pretty decent money for a comic book artist or comic book creator. So to leave that umbrella is really difficult. But what I'd say, I mean, I guess I can only speak from my perspective. If you aren't doing your passion, if you're doing, say, Aquaman talking to a fish for the next 6-issue arc, um, I just don't think there's a lot there for passionate artist, a passionate storyteller to mine. I just think you're cashing your checks, and it's not my place to judge people, but I would rather die trying to follow my muse because I think I have something to say, and I'm going to work really hard to show everybody that. And there's people that can easily jump over and do an indie, but I understand it's a lot more difficult. Hell, I we're probably, I don't know, 10,000 away from where we need to be to even have a living wage to draw this book. We're going to make it happen regardless. It's just I wouldn't want to have to take these stupid side jobs. I can only draw Aquaman talking to fish for so long. My Lord, people, have some mercy. But I would just say, I always go Alan Watts. If money were no object, and become quiet, you got to get all the noise out of your life, everything, be very quiet. If money were no object, what would you do with your time? Mine was creating comic books since I was a kid, man. Just the dumbest stuff to the serious stuff, to aviation stuff. I just, wherever my interests go. And I always try to go where I fear the most. And I haven't done many comedies. Sean Murphy and I did a pretty successful one for Dark Horse back in the day, but that was 15 years ago. So I just missed laughing at I missed enjoying drawing comic books. Not that when I finish Hellboy, there's a beautiful feeling, this hero in your life. He wrote you a story, and you got to draw it for him and Richard Corbin, and all these great things that make you feel wonderful, and a notch on the headboard, and you can say, holy shit, Mike Mignola wrote me a story, the guy that inspired me to do this in the first, and go indie, take a chance on myself. Nothing compares, though, to when your own book comes out and people like it. When Wild Blue Yonder sold out 3 times, no, it's not as much money as if I went and drew X-Men. But it's my own, and it paid me with my own thoughts. And I wish people could feel that. All artists and creators could just feel that moment when something you believed in, when everybody told you were stupid, but you outworked their prediction and it does well. That's more rewarding than any Batman story I've ever drawn, anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with drawing Batman or any of those, but the reward for a passionate artist, a passionate person, you got to do your own thing. You just have to take a chance on yourself. And I know it's hard. I don't have children. I just have dogs. So we can lean up a little bit. I don't have to buy new shoes. Yeah. So
I got the fur babies. No kids, just the fur babies.
Yeah. So, well, good. We're in the same club. However, we all have different problems and obstacles in life. And you just got to figure out what's more important. Mine is I'm going to tell the stories I want to from now on until I die, until they throw dirt on my ass. And that's all I'm going to do. Pet dogs, go jogging, and draw comic books, because those are my joys. But I'm not enjoying comic books when I'm just drawing books for money. And of course, we need money for bills. But I'd rather be willing to take a chance on yourself. But you got to go Bukowski on that. If you decide to do something like a creator-owned book, you got to go all the way. You got to go 100%. And it's going to get dark. It's going to get lonely. You're going to self-doubt. But you just got to keep going. It's like climbing a mountain. If you don't get to the top, you don't get to the top. So just next foot, just keep putting the next foot there. And eventually you do get there. But if you don't, that first step's an MFer, man. It's scary. It's like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade taking a step off that ravine. And he's like, is that foot going to hit something? You got to do it. You got to do it and lose the fear. And you also have to know where your skill sets are at. Do you have holes in it? And everybody does. What are your deficiencies? What are you good at? And lean into that and be willing to drastically improve. A lot of people try to skirt their deficiencies. And I always say, attack your fears. Make your weakness your strength. When I finished The Cape with Joe Hill, I was scared to death of drawing vehicles. My next book was Wild Blue Yonder, which was nothing but World War II jets and dystopian future exploding in the sky. And then once I got good at that, after 150 pages, it's like a secret weapon now. I can draw explosions. I can draw speed. All these things I was afraid of, they're weapons for me now. It's like I just have this tool bag full of weapons. So lean into your fears. If you're afraid to draw feet until you look like the Loomis book, where you could draw your own book on how to draw feet. But I think too many people shy away from their deficiencies. That's exactly opposite of what you should do. Don't lean into your strengths as far as you're learning. Obviously, when you're performing, you want to do that. But when you're learning, don't just do what you do well. If don't doodle monsters if you already draw monsters well. Doodle chairs and cars because you don't know how to draw that crap yet. So concentrate on that. And when you're well-rounded, you can go into something like the independent market where there's a lot of mid-tier to lower level books, and you got to kind of rise above that. You just do. There's a lot of people trying to get in. You got to get over that noise. So you better bring something that brings you over that noise, because no one deserves anything. No one's just going to say, hey, Joe Smith just made a comic, let's all buy it, and then you're now a billionaire. That's never going to happen. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So you got to make them care, if I can talk again. Thank you. But at least I stopped itching my nose. That was I was getting really insecure there.
We're gonna have a counter how many times you scratch your nose on the.
Do not take a drink every time I scratch my nose. This podcast. Every single subscriber would be dead. I'm quite certain. But this was kind of convoluted what I said. But if you have an itch to create our own stuff, now is the perfect time. We have Kickstarter or crowdfunding. We have the internet where you can disseminate all this stuff. But you got to just be willing to take a chance on yourself. Be Indiana Jones that shit and take a step. Make sure you've done your research. Make sure you have a good plan. Don't just step off any cliff. But you got to be willing to take a chance on yourself. And a lot of people think they are. They're brave enough or they have the right skill set. You have to be honest with yourself and say, where am I and what do I want? And there you got your math formula. Here's point A, there's point B. Now you can set your direction and you just go. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. You got your vision. We're all going to be dust anyways. Holy crap. Just go do what you love.
That's what the Lord Thanos has for us. Turns us into dust. There we go.
Exactly.
But no, Zach, I want to thank you for coming on to Nerds It Around, sharing on your story, sharing us, guys. The Kickstarter's in the description. It's Moonshine Bigfoot. You definitely want to hear it. If you have not been lit up after listening to this interview to support this Kickstarter, you're dead below the waist down. I'm sorry. I love you guys.
Sorry to all the people that are already dead below the waist.
No, but again, Zach, let us know where we can find you throughout those social medias. Where can we find you?
I'm easy. I'm SpaceFriend_Z on Instagram. Facebook is unfortunately where I'm most popular. Just Google my name. I'm easy to find. Most importantly, I'll try not to cough in your ear again, but go please, if you just look at our trailer, remember 13 free comic books, some are out of print, some super rare, just for backing us. But please go to www.inked.pub/Moonshine Bigfoot, or just go to Kickstarter, type in Moonshine Bigfoot. We're under projects we love. Kickstarter's been very kind to us, pushing us all around. But I guarantee if you give us a chance, we're going to curl your damn toes.
Guys, give them that chance. Curl them toes. So again, this has been another episode of The Plug. This has been your boy Sebastian. We'll see you guys on Tuesday and for another episode. Peace.